everybody. Welcome to the first episode of season 2 of the GPRO podcast. It's me, your host, Junho, and I have a very special guest to me. We have Bert. I'm going to definitely butcher your last name. Is it Huylebroeck?
Close enough. It's Huylebroeck.
Huylebroeck, yes, okay. I didn't know how to pronounce it. I was like, is it Huyl? It's very, very confusing for an English person.
Not only for English person, for every person, I guess.
For everyone, okay. Well, I have Bert with me, and we're just gonna do this. The typical GPRO podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm Bert Huylebroeck. I'm from Belgium. I'm currently in Elite in GPRO. I've been there for a few seasons now, and I don't know actually when I started GPRO.
So I've done a little research. So you started
Thank you.
The middle.
I did it a few weeks ago, but I forgot.
So you started at season 56, I believe. But you only did one race, and then you promoted on your second or your first full season, shall we say? So we'll just go through GPRO firstly. So how did you find GPRO? Like, how did you find the game?
Well, I always played manager games. I started off with a Formula One based game. Also, it's only a Dutch game. It's called F1 Competitie. It's also translated in English, F1 Competition. It still exists, I think, in English, but not in Dutch anymore. And I started off with that one, and I believe it's 15 years ago or so. And I played there, and that got me started on all the browser games. A few years later, I got interested in other games like football games and sort of. My favorite game was freekick.org. Don't know if people know that one.
I have heard of that, yes.
I very liked that game. I liked it very much. It had lots of that data also. But after that game quit, I fell in a bit of a black hole and I was searching for games. I didn't directly arrive at GPRO. I arrived at, I believe, called Trophy Manager or something like that. And you had to pick sponsors for your football team. And one of the sponsors was GPRO. And I clicked on the link from, what's the sponsor like? And I started playing the game more than the initial game I started. So now I completely forgot about the other game. I don't have it anymore, don't have the account anymore. And I kept playing GPRO. And that's how I stumbled upon this game and kept playing since.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. I completely forgot other games do have the same kind of, not the same sponsor system as we have, but like very similar, where they like promote other games and use other game names as part of their sponsorship kind of, system, which is like pretty interesting. So it's nice that you actually found it based off another game as opposed to searching for like, Formula One management or something like that. So it was pretty interesting. So obviously when you first came into the game, how did you feel the game was like? Did you feel it was very, very kind of intriguing, very difficult? Kind of how did you feel?
Well, I liked the formulas in it. I did some research on the internet. I found a very few easy tools, just the easiest one to get the happy the happy zone from the driver was the first formula I found online. Didn't need to research that one. And then I knew there was more to the game than there was to a simple game where you just get lucky. So I proceeded from there. I started keeping track of all the data, and then I just kept rolling deeper and deeper into it. But it wasn't easy in the beginning, so it's a rather steep learning curve to get along with. I did okay the first. I believe my first race I scored 1 point actually. I scored in points. So I was very happy with that one. But after I think got a mentor in it, so that helped me to get to ease the gap in the learning curve. But after a few races, I asked the mentor if it would be a good idea to get into a team. and I got into a team. One of the sister teams still exists today. It's Tortuga Pirates, but I was a member of the Port Royal Pirates,
Yep.
and that got me really going. They had a sheet, and I started digging in the sheet with every formula possible. Even until today, I still use that one.
Ah, okay, perfect.
And that's got me really confident. From there is a lot more in this game. Everything is based on logic. There's, if the temperature changes, it affects your setup, it affects your tires, it affects everything. So everything comes from a reason, and that's what I like about the games, and that's what it got me started on this game and kept me going with it. It's
Perfect.
I don't like the random stuff. I like everything logical.
Yeah.
That's what I liked in the years back in Free Kick. That's what I like in this game here.
Is it? So do you feel GPRO, like you said, is it very similar to like all the previous games you've been playing? Even though one's a football game and one's a racing game, do you feel both are very similar in terms of, like you said, logical formulas and just everything making sense as you go along?
Well, many games are not that logical. For me at least,
Hmm.
most is whoever gets the most money buys the best player, and that's final. In
Yeah.
this game, you can get the most money. That will not guarantee you a title win. I think many examples in the past have proven that one.
Mm.
So you have to get a lot deeper into this game than just become richest and just use all your money. That's not gonna help. You have to plan here. You have to see what affects what. How can you use those knowledge to your advantage?
Mm.
You have to strategize. It's more to it than just being richest and being luckiest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. Ever since I joined the current team that I'm at now, we'll get to teams in a minute. But ever since I joined my current team, yeah, I've learned so much more stuff about the game. How not you don't just get the best car and you'll win straight away. You have to like base it off certain tracks. Tracks have certain characteristics that you have to kind of make sure you match and everything. And it's kind of it's a lot more deeper and yeah, definitely got me more interested into the game for sure. Ever since I learned there's like so much more to learn about the game than just the average car level, money, driver, all that kind of stuff, So no, I understand where you're coming from there, 100%. Obviously, you joined your first team, the Pirates, and then you moved swiftly. Well, not swiftly on. You stayed there for quite a few seasons, and then
Yeah,
you moved
5, 6 seasons or so. I don't know from my mind.
something around that, and then you joined Team Resistance.
Yeah,
For only
for
a
a
couple of
very
seasons.
brief period.
Yeah,
Only 3 seasons of 2 seasons or something like that. But
yeah.
I tried to step up from the Pirates Brotherhood, so you can call it, to a bigger team because I was thinking I want to get higher. I need to get higher. I was cruising through amateur. That was rather easy. So I needed something to get me to a higher level. And I was kind of a bit stuck at Pirates. And also, there were many members and there were 4 sister teams. But not everyone was as active as there is. I think maybe 3 or 4 people. That was about it. Who was active in those teams? Oh, we got another 2 participants.
Yeah.
And that's why I searched for a bigger team, and I found Team Resistance that was recruiting, and I saw in their history that they had good standings. They had many members in higher leagues, even in elite and like that. So I thought that would be a good team, and it had many Belgians. So I thought it was an easy pick. But when I arrived there, it was a team coming to an end. Most active members were leaving, were stopping. So that was a bit of a turn down when I actually entered the team. So even within 2 seasons, I started looking for another team. And I knew there was an opening at Jaguar there. And I applied, but I got rejected because the same opening, I believe former member Paulo Pinto also restarted playing GPRO, and they picked him logically over me. But I kept in touch with many of the team. But I also Flo also helped me actually to get to another team and actually said that Nuvolari would be a good option and to contact Dede. And that's why I ended up with Nuvolari. Normally, you can see in my history, there's 1 or 2 seasons a gap in my team that I joined the team. But actually, I was kind of in an yeah the pre in the Nuvolari school, you can call it. I was one man. I was member of the Discord, but I wasn't in the team actually because there wasn't a spot yet. And that's when I already joined this directly after Resistance. I was actually a member of Nuvolari, but not in the game itself. But I was a member of a Discord server and everything. I believe it was Telegram in the beginning.
Okay. Well, stole my next question. I was literally going to ask about your 2-season gap. I saw obviously that Team Resistance you left at season 69, and then 71 you then joined Nuvolari. Was going to ask about the gap, but explained it perfectly well for me. That's perfect. So Nuvolari at the time, did they still have the sister teams? Because obviously at the moment now they've got 2 major teams and then one kind of sleeper team where all the ex members go just to have a hang around and play still, just for fun. Wasn't there like a sister team that you could have joined at the time, or was it just?
No, they had the 2 main teams. I believe they were Pirates and Predators. Then you had Nuvolaro Classics.
Classics is where the kind of
That's where the former members are. And I thought that was about it. And it was only meant for joining. I also had Nuvolari Racing, I believe.
Racing,
but that was exclusively Italian back then.
Oh, okay.
So I actually had back then only 2 main teams for international. That was Pirates and Predators. And you had the Italian team that was Racing, and you had the old school team that was Classics.
Classics. That makes more sense now. Yeah.
Classics and Racing were not available. I wasn't Italian and I was not a former member. So, and in the 2 international teams, there wasn't a spot. So I kept at the side track, but I still could participate in everything the team got.
Fair enough. I didn't know there was still an Italian team back then. Obviously, because I joined racing in '82 when you left. I joined racing in season 82, so I completely forgot there was still primarily an Italian team then. So what kind of got you interested in Nuvolari? Obviously, you said Flo introduced you to Nuvolari, saying it might be a good team, but what kind of enticed you more into it?
Well, she didn't introduce me. She said, I had to contact Dede for that because that might be a good team for me to join. So I contacted him. I didn't know it was Dede or Alan at the time I had contacted, but it started rolling and it sounded good to me and it sounded a lot of activity. I think it still is. I think everybody knows that in GPRO. So it was rather normal, and it was I was directly at ease over there. I just like it. Not much. I felt immediately at ease, so I didn't think much of it, and was happy that they accepted me. I could join every discussion and. I think in the beginning, I wanted first to see what they have, but also participate in what they wanted to investigate further, because that's one of my things I still like to do, and is investigate numbers and stuff like that, the correlations between things.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's great. Obviously, joining Nuvolari, you've then had a much more successful career. Went to Pro, Master, straight to Elite, dropped to Master a couple of times, but that might be due to just slight, just planned relegations and stuff like that. Obviously, you've had your stints in Elite at a time. Did you ever felt Nuvolari would be your team for the future? Like, would you ever think that you'll stay there forever? Did you ever think you would move one day at all while you're there?
It wasn't my plan on moving from Nuvolari, and actually, I never reached Elite without Nuvolari. It was because of them that I reached Elite. Actually, I got stuck in Master if it wasn't for their help. But it's in every team you get you become friends with people inside the team, especially with such big teams like Nuvolari, where you have 30 to 40 members.
Mm.
I was mainly friends with people who were retiring or stopping or almost stopping and turning inactive, and that's why it made me sad, and felt less and less connection inside the team. And that's why it gave me something to think about. And also, it wasn't actually like that, but I felt some pressure from research. I
Yeah.
probably is some pressure I put upon myself. But I kept thinking I needed to do research to improve the team and to improve everything. And I was getting also nowhere, and
Mm.
it was frustrating for me getting on a stuck on many things, small things, small improvements, but I just couldn't realize it.
Mm.
In beginning, some big things turned out. uh, I think that still used, I believe, for matching and stuff like that. That's together with Jan, those things were discovered. But after that, I got stuck, and that got me some frustration. And that's I needed to back off a bit from the game. I had taken a pause in Nuvolari. I even left Discord for a while because it was getting too much. I also had some kind of phobia, because every time I saw a message in Discord pop up, and there are many messages in Nuvolari Discord, you know that.
Of course.
I just have to read it, and I just have to keep track if everything was being said. And actually, in Nuvolari, that was also a bit too much for me.
Mm.
And
Fair.
the many members, and I didn't feel the connection with everything they said. But I just wanted to keep in track with everything from the team. That was also a bit too much for me, and that made me decide that it was a good time to look out for other opportunities. And that's now a big change with now. Now I'm still active on the Discord from Jaguar, but it's very much ease over there, and
Mm.
there can be sometimes a day that nobody posts even one message. But
Fair.
I don't mind anymore. It's I'm becoming more at ease at this game also. In the beginning, I was more frustrated. I wanted to know everything and I want to do everything in this game. Now I'm more at ease, and I think I'm relaxed now, I'm more settled down, and
Yeah.
that fits me more.
That's fair enough. It's always a priority to think about yourself. It sounds selfish, but it's always a good thing to think about yourself as opposed to the bigger picture, obviously. So if you do feel frustrated and kind of stressed out that you are kind of being overburdened by responsibilities, then yeah, it makes sense to kind of just feel as though you might want to move to pastures new. Um,
Yeah.
the timing, obviously, season 82 is when you moved from Nuvolari to Jaguar. Were you always in contact with Jaguar, even when you were in Nuvolari, or was it just a coincidence
Uh,
that happened?
not with the team actually. I was in contact with some members of the team. I was always in contact with Walter, because I even contacted him my second or first amateur season, even in the game, so
Okay.
around season 60, because I had done an idea back then in the Pirate Brotherhood to start an Belgian pirate team. And I contacted the best Belgians in amateur and all those levels, if they were interested or not. And Walter was one on my list, and I kept in touch with him the entire game. So I even kept from season 62 until season 82. That's 22 seasons without even sharing a team. We kept in touch, also with others like Jens, but also with Flo and many more. I had contact with many members. So that was when the opening came. I just knew I had to decide, and I hesitated when the opening spot came, because I still had still many friends in Nuvolari, but it became less and less that I had become active in the team. So it was really a doubtful thing back then. Would I apply or not? And in the end, I did it, because if I wouldn't apply it, then I would have regretted. So in the end, I did it, and yes, I became a member of Jaguar Racing.
And did you feel, obviously it's kind of a big question, but do you feel you've made the right decision moving to Jaguar from Nuvolari, or is this some form of kind of doubt and regret in your head that you've done the move?
But for me, it's a good feeling. I'm more at ease now. I just feel more relaxed. Although there is no pressure, actually, there wasn't no pressure at Nuvolari, but I just feel more relieved now. And I'm more at ease, and I think it's better for me. Maybe I just also evolved myself, and I was very active and everything, pushy, and I like that. I wanted that, but now I'm more relaxed, and it fits me perfectly. So actually, yes, I came out very fine, and I also had a lot of contacts inside Jaguar. So yes, I still stand behind my choice back then. I still think it's a good choice. So I don't know how it's been accepted at Nuvolara. I don't think it's
No.
always.
Everyone's all good with your move. You know, it's for the best. Like you said, you've done a lot for the Nuvolari team anyway, so you know everyone's grateful for you, and it is what it is. You know, if you have to move based on your feeling, then so be it. But obviously, once you moved to Jaguar, that's when your first elite title came about. Tell me about that season. Like, did you plan to fight for the championship at that time, or did everything just fall into place? And
Actually, I had planned perfectly for my second elite push in season 86. Yes, 86. But we were with three very good managers, all pushing in the same season. It was Brad, me, and Antonio. All three, we were pushing that season. For me, it was already my second time because I had a failed attempt at season 76. That was also against three other managers, I believe, Roland, Jasper, and from Gotham Racing, I forgot his name.
I can't remember. Was it Veal? I can't remember his name now. Is it Veal?
No, I don't think so, but
I can search for it. Season 76.
76, he became third that season because I got fourth.
Gonzalo Alvarez. Yeah.
Yes. I had filled them then because that was a multi-teams pushing. Okay, but I learned a lot from that. So I had perfectly everything planned. I have a top driver. I still have that one. I signed it in Elite, drop back to Master, the usual way known to in many Nuvolaris. I still have enough for my 10th season. I had them planned perfectly. I had my sponsors ready. I had my money ready. But I don't know, many people realize how big that push in season 86 was. I think Brad versus me, that was, and also against Gatu. But after, I believe, 6 or 7 races, it was very clear that it was between Brad and me. And just kept going until the end with the final race. Eventually, Brad won the title.
Yeah.
But I decided then that my driver was not worn out yet. His salary was still acceptable because his reputation was not that high. So I decided rather fast that I would shift to another push with one season in between to retrain my driver because I sparred all seasons 86. And I took honeys. I prepared myself another time. Okay, my sponsors were a little bit less, and I wanted to push again in season 88. I still was afraid of a few people who could be pushing, so I picked Bridge Rocks to be sure to have the best performance from the tires. But in the end, nobody else from the big guns, you can call them, decided to push. So actually, there was a season rather easy for me. I even must admit, I believe the first 6 or 7 races, I trained my driver 5 times, even in my push season.
Oh, wow, fair enough then.
So I know I even I think I dropped 12, 13 points in the first 5 races just because I kept training my driver. Because I felt rather comfortable even when the season started. After 2-3 races, I knew I had it in the bag. Even with one random, I eventually had 2 randoms that season, one puncture and one failure of a part below 80%. So
Okay.
complete randoms.
Yeah.
And I still easily finished that season. So that wasn't much pressure that season. But it was a planned season, but only after I got defeated in season 86.
Okay.
Not soon. It wasn't planned way before that I would push in 88. It was planned that I would push in 86, but eventually I would retry in 88. And that came out very well.
Yeah. No. Definitely no. Congrats on that first title as well, because like you said, it was quite easy for you. Like I said, not many people were pushing at that time for a title. But a title's a title. It's difficult. Not only to get to elite, but to stay there and to get the consistency that you have throughout those seasons, and then finally getting that championship winning title. Obviously, becoming I believe the second Belgian after Jasper. I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Season 76 was the first Belgian elite winner.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, that must be a big moment for you. Were you watching every race, just weighing, kind of getting your, just be like, come on, we gotta win this,
Actually, no. Season 86, yes, I almost watched every race. Almost. There were some times I couldn't watch. Friday nights, the third week of each month, I can't. Game night.
Yeah.
But I tried to watch every race then. But season 88, I was rather relaxed, and I think I saw 5 races completely that season, and the rest all in speed up replay afterwards. I said there wasn't much pressure that season anymore. I rather felt confident that it would be okay. And I had started other things that needed attention, so I had not much, didn't see much since then. And last season and this season also is just more of the same.
Yeah. Do you ever feel as though you would win another title in the future? Like, do you think you got the goal it takes to maybe win maybe a couple of more titles, maybe 2 or 3 more, or?
Yes, I could. I kind of hoped maybe last season if somebody would have dropped the ball. Actually, I needed 2 people to drop the ball, both Rimantas and Christian. If they both dropped the ball, I would pick it up and just would be able to get the title. That's why I picked Bridges again. But I did have a season plan that was 40 to 50 million cheaper than them. And I still got seconds. And if I didn't make one mistake, also because I was lazy in a mixed weather race, I was thinking I should shift to a dry setup. I didn't do it because I was lazy. And in the end, it would have earned me 7 points more and cost Sagatas 2 points. So it would have been close if it wouldn't have for that one. I knew I can do it. I knew I have the tools for it. I just have to rebuild properly. But for now, I'm just cruising. I'm using up my driver to the fullest. He's retiring this season,
Okay.
and it's the last thing I can get out of him before he leaves the game. So I want to get everything out of him because I think it's the best driver in the game ever.
Yeah.
It's a saying that somebody else in old Nuvolari has done before, and some people mock with that.
Fair enough. Well, that's GPRO sorted for us. That's pretty much your whole history of GPRO. Let's talk more about your real life. What you do? What you do for a living? Like, what's your job?
Well, I'm an engineer, and my job is to prepare for mechanics to work on HVAC installations. That's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and also plumbing. So I have to prepare plans for them. I have to go to meetings, discuss everything on building sites and stuff like that. And then I prepare for everything for them, order the materials, and make that everything is in place so they can fit everything.
Okay, so
And that's my job. So I have to drive around at different construction sites and make everything come together.
so you did a plan. You don't do the actual installation yourself.
I don't do the planning most. It's mostly one person who plans which person can go where. But I have to calculate the stuff. I have to select stuff, but also go to meetings and discuss with architects and with guys from the study bureau. What do they want and how I see it. But I don't have to actually use my hands on the
to
construction
do that kind.
sites.
Okay, so and I'm assuming you're enjoying the job. Is it like something that you've been wanting to do? Like obviously you must have studied to do this, but is this something you've been wanting to do
Well,
as a
my
career?
studies are an engineer, so that's rather logical. Logical step from there. I just stumbled upon HVAC because my first job, but ever since it's now my fifth job, I believe. But I kept always in the same branch. It always was. First time is what ventilation. The second time it was a study bureau for heating and ventilation and air conditioning. Then it was to an installation firm, then to another installation firm. Now I'm more back to a ventilation firm. So I just keep in the same branches over and over again because that's all where my knowledge is, and it's very easy for me. It's also not far from my home. It's 50 minutes drive to my actual work where the building is.
Okay.
So I need to go to construction sites. Though those are further, but the work itself that's rather
the main
close
office,
to my home.
No, fair. Okay. So one thing I know about you, obviously going away from your work aside now, one thing I know about you is that you really, really love your board games.
Yes, that's right.
So how did this start about? Like how did you get into board games? What was your first experience?
The first experience, most people know that's stuff like Monopoly as a kid, but I don't even count it as a board game anymore. And other little childish more games. But the real board games now, it's I think in English it's called Settlers of Catan.
Yes, Settlers of Catan. Yeah.
From Klaus Tauber, I believe, and that's got me going into the board games. On one evening, I believe it was New Year's Eve, my sister brought it along for the family when my mother was in the kitchen preparing all the food. We had to wait a little bit, and she advised, well, let's play a new game, and she come up with Settlers of Catan, and we started playing that game, and it was the first time ever I played that game. And ever since ever, I think I played it over 100 times, 150 times by now. I got almost every expansion except the most recent one I don't have, but that's where it got all started with board games, and that's why I like it very much. But I also have many other games by now. I even have board games that you can play solo.
Oh, okay.
That's very weird for most people.
So I didn't even know there were solo board games. That's quite interesting. Like, what kind of solo board games are there? I'm actually very interested myself.
Well, you have adaptations for general board games for multiplayer game that have new rules for solo play, but mostly those are a bit limited, so are a bit forced upon the game. But then you have also specifically games only made for solo play. There are games that you can only play with one person out there.
Oh wow, geez, okay.
But that can be games that last maybe 15 minutes. I have those. And there are games that I play solo and that take me over 4 hours. And I have even one game for a mission. It takes, I believe, 16 hours for the first mission.
16 hours, wow.
16 hours, but you can save that. It's a board game and still you can save that. It takes you 5 minutes to save and to set up. But it takes, the full first mission took me 16 hours to complete it.
Wow, jeez.
So it's ranged from every kind from 5 minutes to 16 hours. You have everything, even in solo game and board gaming.
Fair. What's your most favorite game to play right now? Like, what is your ultimate? Like, what is one that you really want to play like every day?
Actually, something rather light because I do have very heavy games. Mage Knight is one of them. That's the solo board game for 4 to 5 hours. But one game that I always like to play, that's multiplayer. It's from 2 to 4 persons. That's Potion Explosion. Maybe you know it. Maybe the easiest comparison is that's like with the Candy Crush in a board game.
Okay.
It's a dispenser. It 5 or 6 columns with marbles in it, 4 colors. if it's your turn, you take one marble, and if it's the same colors that bump into each other, you also get to collect these, and with that you make potions. And that's it. And you can use the potions for special effects. And that's the entire game, and I just love that game. I also play the game rather a lot now, but mostly on Board Game Arena.
Yeah.
Because I like board games, but for most board games that aren't solo, you need friends. That's something else. I don't get to be every evening with friends, so I play a lot at Board Game Arena, so you can find me there usually.
Fair. Obviously, we tried doing some board game adaptations on the forums. Obviously, you weren't a massive fan of that. Any particular reason why? Obviously, because with Board Game Arena, you get the actual board as a graphic, and it's quite easily usable and playable. But any reason why you don't play on the forums? That's just my question.
Actually, I believe I once closed the tab from forum games on GPRO. You can select which forum you don't want to follow, and I believe I did that once. So forum games, because also again, I always want to see everything that being posted. I want to see it. So if you add forum games to your following channel, then every day you get a lot of messages or new topics popping up. I want to click them everything and see what's been posted. And that's why I just close it. And that's why I also don't participate in new games, because I already have seen that there is, I believe it's yours, a Ticket to Ride version.
Oh, it's not mine. It's a couple of other people's, but they made it brilliant. They had a nice kind of Google form, and it's But
I've seen it, and I also played that on Board Game Arena, by the way.
It just came out. I think it just came out on Board Game Arena, doesn't it?
Yes, it's not so long on Board Game Arena, but I'm already in that a little far. But I've seen it. I was thinking by Ticket to Ride. I was thinking of joining it, but I never got to it on the forum. And also maybe because of the pace it plays. There on the GPRO, you have to wait till you get the message, and it takes some time before you can play your next turn. And on Board Game Arena, you can play your turn, maybe wait some 1 minute, and it's again your turn. Although I do miss the interactivity with other people there. That's something that you don't have over there.
No, fair. So, obviously, so did you use the forum much on GPRO? Like, do you follow many of the topics on there?
Most topics I follow. There are a few topics that I have listed that I follow. There are actually Elite and Master 125. Okay. Those are the 6 topics that I follow. Other topics, not very much. I do sometimes watch in the general team discussion if there is a new team that needs to be celebrated. I even knew I believe in season 83 or so, when Nuvolari got their first champion, nobody ever noticed. So
exactly.
I checked that. That's why I had to congratulate you all for getting that victory. And general topics like that, I do read many of them. But if you block out forum games and also some other annoying topics, then not so many messages a day keep popping up. Then sometimes I open the app after half a day, and then it's just 5 or 6 messages that's only new, so not much to follow. And then sometimes I pick from, oh, that's something I want to read, but not much more than that.
Yeah. Would you ever try one of the forum games that's been being hosted in the forums at all? Would you ever try one of them, or do you think that's just not your cup of tea?
I did it in the past, actually, when I was member of not the Nuvolari Pirates, but the first Pirates. I entered the game Pick Your Favorites, I believe.
Yes. Still running to this day. Still running.
Yes, I noticed it. It was in the in the Oscars, I believe, from time to time as best game.
Mm.
It might happen that I play along in a game in the forum games, but there's also many other stuff to do for me. So that's why I usually there's a slim chance that I will participate in many games in over there.
Fair. Like, was there any games? Even though you don't have time now, but let's say you do have plenty of time to delve into one of these games. Which ones would you kind of be more, leaning towards? Like a Mafia game? Would you rather play a Mafia game, or would you just play like more simple, like like I say, pick your favorites could be one of them. There's like the Elite Racing game. There's loads of different games that you can play. Which one's kind of what you enjoy most?
I don't know how this game are played, so I've seen sometimes pass things, some stuff from Mafia game, but I don't know how it's being played.
Okay.
I have no idea what kind of no. Okay, pick your favorite. That's a rather easy game. That just you have to send one message for each race, and that's about it. Those are the games that I could be playing. But if it takes lots of activity on the forum, then I probably would pass because I don't log in. I do log in every day, but not to check in and to play games like that. Mostly I log in every day just to see if somebody else has qualified yet.
Okay, fair enough then. Just I'm kind of running out of questions to ask at the moment. This is unbeknownst to me out here. Is there any other kind of games that you're playing other than GPRO at the moment? Obviously, you said used to play Free Kick and Trophy Manager. Is there any other games that you're playing at the moment?
For now, I don't play any games on my computer. It's just GPRO. For the rest, most of my time I spent on my other hobbies I have, and now I have some side projects too. So all my time invested in that. My other hobbies, if it's during daytime, then I ride bike. So I'm a cyclist. But I also have side projects that's completely rebuilding a camper or a caravan to function as an outhouse for my kids. So I can put it in my garden, but it's completely stripped down at the moment. And stuff like that. So that's keep me occupied all day. And that's why I don't play much other stuff than GPRO.
Oh, fair. You said you're a cyclist. Any other kind of sports that you are interested in at the moment, like either to watch or to play?
Well, both for watching and to do myself. That's cyclism, both on the road and in the field. In the field, it's not so. I'm not talking about mountain bike because mainly in Belgium you don't get a lot of things on TV from mountain bike. It's called cyclocross. That's actually the same bike as on the road. It looks the same. It's not exactly the same, but they use that kind of bike in the field.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's rather big in Belgium, but I know other countries just actually the current world champions is British. It's Tom Pidcock.
Okay, I've
That's
never heard
current
of him.
world champion.
Cyclocross, he said. Yeah.
Yes, cyclocross. I believe he's also the current Olympic champion in mountain bike. Okay. He's Olympic champion in mountain bike, and he's also the world champion in cyclocross. That's Tom Pidcock, but normally it's about 7 or 8 Belgian guys, one Dutch guy, Mathieu van der Poel, and one British guy, Tom Pidcock. That's all the main competitors. So there are many more, but that's the main competitors at the guys, and at the women. It's, I believe, the first 8 or so are from the Netherlands, and then you have to search from some other countries. So there we don't have Belgians. There is only from the Netherlands.
Is that all based in Belgium as well? Do they do racing in Belgium, or is it?
They have many races in Belgium. They try to make it more international. They even are trying to get it to the Olympics. It's a winter sport.
Okay.
It's because you have in the summer you have riding on the road, just cyclism, And in the winter you have cyclocross. Try to make it Olympic, but I don't think it's going to work ever. But it's if you see a race in Belgium that lures about 10,000 people, even more. I even had a race right in front of my door where my parents live. Even the Belgian Championship was over there, and I believe 15,000 people came to show up. It's a track from 4K track, and 15,000 people around it. So it's a layers behind layers of people, and also many beer is consumed over there. It's very famous for that one also.
That's fair then.
Festivities, and it's with many mud, and they just plow through it, and if it's too much mud, they have to take the bike on the shoulder and they have to run through it. And it's also one of the favorite things I do myself. So even this weekend, I was on my bike. I had 50 kilometers in the field, and I just if mud or no mud, just keep going. It's just a fun way to do, and I even like to do it. That's not what they do in race, but I like to do it also in the evening or at night. If it's completely dark outside, just put a headlight down on the helmet, and on the bike also one. And in the field, if you turn off the lights, it's complete dark, but headlight, bike light, and just in the field, it's a great experience.
I was going to say that surely. I would be so scared trying to go down with just two lights going down a field, and a field of, potentially there's loads of trees around. Like, you don't know what the next obstacle is going to be. Like, surely it must be frightening going down there.
Actually, it's not that frightening. Mostly the headlights and the bike lights are just very big and very wide. It's very clear that you can see, but it's a completely different experience than you get than just riding in the day. They even make general tracks. Even for Halloween, there was a parkour not far from here, especially for Halloween, and you have to ride through forests, and they put some extra decorations for Halloween. And it was a completely bike ride, 50 kilometers in the night. And there are hundreds and hundreds of people who participate in that one. Wow. And sometimes you are riding with 50 people behind you, all in a single track in the dark. That's just amazing.
That actually sounds really cool. I will look at cyclocross one day, just to see what it is, because obviously I've never heard of it before. But obviously there's normal cycling, and that's all I know. So cyclocross does sound very intriguing to me. But I think that's all the time we have. I've completely run out of questions. This is the first time ever. But no, it's been absolutely great talking to you. But any final words from you before we sign off for the day?
Well, it was nice chatting to you, and I thank you for the invite for the podcast.
Perfect. No, all you need to say. And no, thank you very much, everyone else, for listening. Thank you, Bert, for giving me your time. Absolutely wonderful. Had so much fun today. It was brilliant. But yeah, join us next week where we'll have another guest. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.